this isn't the first time that America has tried to build these kinds of defenses. Every time this happens, the adversaries of the US build more missiles, they build more bombs, and it's always cheaper, or at least has been so far, to build new missiles and bombs than it is to build enough interceptors to stop that new missile. So China is already in the process of building up its nuclear arsenal. Russia has the same capability to do that.
The Golden Dome is Donald Trump's name for it, a missile defence shield which can intercept missiles, it's claimed, even if launched from space. Will it work, and could it have unintended consequences? Cameron Hunter is a nuclear policy analyst at the University of Copenhagen. Welcome, Cameron.
Thanks for having me on.
Hi. First of all, let's start with the basics. How would something like this work, even in theory?
Okay, well, you need many different components. You need to know when the enemy is firing missiles at you. You need to be able to track them and then shoot them down at some point in their flight before they end up detonating in your cities or on your military. So it's an enormously complex system that, in its form that Trump seems to be suggesting, could involve tens of thousands of individual pieces or even more.
And I mean, we've been here before. I started the show by quoting Ronald Reagan, who had this same idea and then eventually gave it up for being just too hard. What are the challenges, and what are those components? Are we talking, fundamentally, are we talking space lasers?
Well, we might be. This is at least the third time that the US has really made a big effort to try and prevent nuclear attack using defensive interceptors. Every time they try, it turns out to be incredibly expensive. It's not to say that it's impossible. If you spent enough money on it, then we do have the technology to be able to do this, but it would just be, enormously expensive, outrageously expensive. And it does seem to be that Trump is suggesting that the interceptors for his Golden Dome would be based in space so that you can shoot the missile down when it's halfway through its flight time. And that might well involve lasers. It might involve firing effectively very fast space-based bullets at the missile and destroying it kinetically.
And what does this, it's obviously a hugely difficult technical challenge to do it, and presumably do it so that you need it to be 100% successful. Otherwise, you've still got Washington destroyed.
That's exactly right. As a sci-fi book, the moon is a harsh mistress, but the gravity is a harsh master in this case. You need to have thousands and thousands of satellites orbiting the Earth. Given that they orbit every 90 minutes or so, you're only going to have so many over where your enemy is launching missiles at any given time. So just to have, say, 4 over the whole of China at any one time, you might need 2,000 satellites for that. And China has maybe 300 missiles that you would want to shoot down, and you want at least 2 interceptors, ideally 3 per missile. So you're going to need a lot more than 2,000 space-based interceptors to achieve that. And yes, if even one nuclear weapon gets through, that's a city gone. People don't like to talk about how many cities you could feasibly lose in a nuclear war and still have some kind of a country left. People don't like to put a specific number on it. Everybody's got their own, but really 4, 5, 10 cities gone. And really that's just the worst thing that has ever happened to any country on Earth in one day.
Well, let's talk about China and Russia then, because since the Cold War, the balance has required mutually assured destruction. That's been how all of the game theorists have played this out. And so if one of the countries takes the mutual bit off the table, what are the concerns about how other countries might react? And are there unintended consequences that make things more dangerous rather than less?
We have really good evidence on how countries might react, because this isn't the first time that America has tried to build these kinds of defenses. Every time this happens, the adversaries of the US build more missiles, they build more bombs, and it's always cheaper, or at least has been so far, to build new missiles and bombs than it is to build enough interceptors to stop that new missile. So China is already in the process of building up its nuclear arsenal. Russia has the same capability to do that. They've always registered deep criticism and dislike of these American systems, both behind the scenes and publicly. This system will be no different.
So, do you think there's a possibility, even if it works, that Americans might be less safe?
I think that's a very likely outcome, that there will be hawks in Beijing and Moscow that are already jumping up and down saying the Americans have really got it in for us. And then this piece of evidence comes up and they can wave it in their opponents' faces and ask for more money, for more missiles or more interceptors of their own. And the result will be that more missiles are pointing at American homes, not fewer.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being here in the Oval Office, one of the great places of the world, as we make a historic announcement about the Golden Dome Missile Defense Shield. That's something we want, and Ronald Reagan wanted it many years ago, but they didn't have the technology. But it's something we're going to have. We're going to have it at the highest level. Based by a lot. It's not even close. And Mike is a four-star Space Force. In the campaign, I promised the American people that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for this state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors. And Canada has called us, and they want to be a part of it. So we'll be talking to them. They want to have protection also. So as usual, we help Canada do the best we can. This design for the Golden Dome will integrate with our existing defense capabilities and should be fully operational before the end of my term. So we'll have it done in about 3 years. Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome will be capable of intercepting missiles even if they are launched from other sides of the world and even if they are launched from space. And we will have the best system ever built. As you know, we helped Israel with theirs, and it was very successful, and now we have technology that's even far advanced from that. This is something that's going to be very protective. I think you can rest assured there'll be nothing. I'm also pleased to report that the One Big Beautiful Bill will include $25 billion for the Golden Dome to help construction get underway. That's the initial sort of a down deposit. And we have probably, you're talking about, General, we're talking about $175 billion total cost of this when it's completed. This afternoon, I'm also announcing that I will appoint, very importantly, General Gutlein to lead the ambitious new effort as the direct reporting program manager for the Golden Dome. Very talented man, and I'm very honored to have been the one that helped to have really created Space Force. Space Force has turned out to be a tremendous success. We were third in space, and now we're number one in space by a lot. It's not even close. And Mike is a four-star Space Force general. It's amazing how easy this one is to fund. You know, some funding is tough and some is easy.
Ultimately, this right here, the Golden Dome for America, is a game changer. It's a generational investment in the security of America and Americans. Mr. President, you said we're going to secure our southern border and get 100% operational control after the previous administration allowed an invasion of people into our country. President Reagan 40 years ago cast the vision for it. The technology wasn't there. Now it is, and you're following through to say we will protect the homeland from cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles, drones, whether they're conventional or nuclear.
Which be, you know, fairly small expansion, but we'll work with them on pricing. Canada wants to be a part of it, which be, you know, fairly small expansion, but we'll work with them on pricing. We'll be dealing with them on pricing. They know about it very much. They've asked to be a part of it, actually. They've asked us to be a part of it. I think it's something that is great. If you can afford to do it, we can afford to do it. Some great presidents and great people on many of these. We think it's going to be about a little bit less than 3 years. And we'll have a big phase-in very early. You know, we're starting immediately with $25 billion. It'll cost about $175 billion completed, but we think in 2.5 to 3 years. Yeah. Great. So it's very exciting, and the place has become a little different than you first saw it, Jim, right?
Yes, much better.
One follow-up on the adversaries. Have you addressed Russia's ventures in space with a space-based nuclear weapon and told Putin to stop in your conversations with him?
We haven't discussed it, but at the right time we will, yeah.